Perfect. So there we go. Now we can start. So on behalf of the Alamo Improvement Association, I'd like to welcome you all to our community event for the candidates running for the local San Ramon Valley School Board. During this evening's 45-minute event, we'll be hearing equally from each of the three candidates, and here they are listed in alphabetical order: Jerome Pandell, Michelle Peterson, and Jesse Van Zee. Each candidate will provide a brief introduction, and we'll then ask each candidate 3 questions, and then each candidate will provide a brief closing. And I'd like to mention, for those of you in the audience, if you have specific questions for the candidates, to please include them in the chat. And what we'll do is we will ask the candidates to address some of those questions in their closing remarks. Because we only do have a little bit less than an hour, so it might be hard to include all questions, but I'll try to select those questions that are most frequently asked. Okay. And just so you know, to keep us on time, I'll be setting a time clock for each one of the responses. All right, folks. And we'll ask the candidate, if still speaking, to just please go ahead and finish their sentence, and then we'll move on. Okay, let's more folks in the waiting room. And before beginning, I also just like to remind all of us that Election Day is on November the 8th. Okay. So without any further details, we'll go ahead and get this started. First of all, the very first question is that we would just like to ask each candidate to please provide a brief introduction. You have 4 minutes for this question. And again, we're going to start in alphabetical order, and then I'll be rotating the names so everyone has equal opportunities to start first or end last, or if your preference is in the middle, you'll get that too. Okay. So candidate Pandell, would you like to start us off?
Certainly. Thank you so much, Doreen and Roger and the Alamo Improvement Association for organizing and hosting us tonight. I think Jesse and Michelle and I are certainly grateful we won't be passing the microphone back and forth and navigating Zoom at the same time, even though that last forum we did was really great. My name is Jerome Pandell, and I am a proud product of our San Ramon Valley Unified School System. I went to Rancho Romero Elementary School, Stone Valley Middle School, and San Ramon Valley High School. And I returned to this community because I really believe in lifting up others as we climb through our career and our lives. One of the things that I find extraordinarily valuable as now a candidate is giving back to the community and the schools that made me who I am today. I'm an Alamo resident, newly Alamo resident. I grew up in Danville, and my wife, Emlyn, who is also a product of our school system, doesn't hold that against me too much, but she's a proud Alamo native. And one of the things we talked about when we decided where we were going to live and raise our family, we have a 2-year-old son, is the idea of where we wanted our school, where we wanted our kids to go to school. And ultimately, we knew that this community where we grew up, in addition to being close to grandparents, is really special, and the schools in it are really special. And that's true all the way from the schools here in Alamo and Danville, all the way to Eastern and Southern San Ramon. And we want to keep doing that. The perspective that I bring to this election and to this seat is multifaceted. One, I've experienced the school system, even though I'm constantly reminded now that it's my 20-year high school reunion coming up this weekend, that was 20 years ago. It was in the 21st century that I was in our schools. And that perspective is valuable. Additionally, I bring the perspective as a parent of a future student, and we're going to have to start thinking about those things long-term when you elect a trustee of a student from starting in transitional kindergarten all the way through 12th grade and beyond, in the case of our special education students who stay with us for 2 years after high school graduation in the post-graduation program. We also have to think about the perspective of district-wide. Trustee area elections are new to our school district, but there's something that are very important to consider, is that when you elect a trustee from Trustee Area 1, they're thinking about the entire school system, all 36 campuses we have. They're a trustee for the entire district. As a result, that's the perspective and experience that I bring. I'm a 6-year member and 3-year chair of our Facilities Oversight and Advisory Committee, which is responsible for advising and conducting oversight for the taxpayers of the district bonds that this community so generously enacted to help rebuild and modernize many of our school sites. But we still have a ways to go to bring them up to the standard and level that we expect. Additionally, I'm part of the district's new Access to Excellence Committee, which is really designed to engage with community partners who don't necessarily engage with our schools on an everyday basis, but find ways to partner with them and bring resources to our students and our teachers. I'm really excited to answer some of the questions tonight and hear some of the questions that are submitted and talk to you about why I'm really trying to be a candidate who meets students where they are and our teachers where they are and our community and caregivers and parents where they are, but also one who's from our community and for all of our schools. So with that, thank you very much.
Okay. Wonderful candidate Pandell. Thank you so much. And then with that, we might like ask candidate Peterson to please provide her brief introduction.
Sorry, I thought you were going to unmute. My apologies.
Oh,
So first of all, thank you so much to the Alamo Improvement Association and to everybody who is on this. It looks like 62 participants. Thank you so much. My name is Michelle Peterson. As was mentioned, I am running for school board for Area 1. I'm a parent of a child in the district and have lived here with my husband for 16 years. I was PTA president of my son's school for the last 3 years, where I navigated hiring a new principal, COVID closures, and the transition back to in-person learning. I helped my community navigate the pandemic and built relationships with parents, staff, students, and administrators in the process. Service has always been a strong constant in my life. I am a former firefighter, and I take to heart the firefighter's creed to aid and assist others where and when it is needed the most. I have served my community in another role as a regional leader for Moms Demand Action, the national nonprofit dedicated to ending gun violence in all its forms. I have helped pass national and state legislation to make lasting and impactful change. I'm a proven community leader who has worked with public agencies and delivered results for cities and school districts, including securing $1.8 million in funding for Antioch's gun violence prevention program there. And I worked within our own school district to update its school safety plan and strengthen communications regarding safe storage, as a majority of school shooters obtain their guns from unsecured weapons in their homes or that of a relative. My husband is a gun owner. I am not anti-gun. I am pro-gun safety, and I take the responsibility of gun ownership incredibly seriously. I currently sit on the Council of PTAs. My candidacy is the next logical step, and I was urged by my community to run. Being at a school campus daily, I saw firsthand how essential it is for students to feel accepted, our staff to feel respected, and our families to be engaged. I am excited for the opportunity to redesign how we define success for our students, how we attract and retain our workforce, and how we leverage our position in the education network to advocate for better funding solutions. I am ready to get to work, and I am the only candidate to whom this job would be my full-time job. Thank you so much.
wonderful. Thank you so very much, candidate Peterson. And we'll now move to candidate Van Zee. If you'd like to please provide your introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jesse Van Zee, and I am running for the school board in Area 1 of San Ramon Unified School District. Are we getting some weird audio?
Yes, we're getting weird audio.
Weird audio. All right. Hold on one second here.
Well, now you're sounding better.
Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
All right. Success.
Okay. Oops, sorry.
Here, I'm going to do. You can hear me better now?
Yeah, if you could just like tab that would be.
Getting a lot of feedback.
I actually don't think Jesse was.
That
you.
was good now, Jesse.
Yeah, I think it was someone else.
Okay.
who had their audio on.
All right. Somebody's audio was on. All right. Well, should we start over?
All right. Yes, please do. We'll start. Go ahead.
Sounds good. Well, take two. My name is Jesse Van Zee, and I am running for school board in Area 1 of San Ramon Valley Unified School District. Thank you so much, Doreen and Roger, and everybody at the AIA, and everybody that's listening now, and also is going to listen to the subsequent recordings down the road. Local school board candidates and whoever subsequently wins can affect your life. And I just appreciate voters that are taking the time to hear us out and get well informed. So a little bit about me. First and foremost, I'm a father to 5 amazing young kids. I've got kids age 12 all the way down to 3.5. My wife and I were doing some calculations, and I think we're going to be having a kid in the school district all the way until 2037. So I think it's fair to say that I have a vested interest in making sure that our local schools stay a great place to keep sending our kids for public education. A little bit more about me in my professional life. I'm an executive for a cancer care company that designs and builds and operates cancer centers in communities throughout California. I've been in the healthcare arena for the last 17 years of my life, and I love that I'm able to participate in cancer care. Being a cancer survivor myself, I know how much a diagnosis with cancer can deeply impact a patient and their family, and so I'm happy to be able to do my little part in that as well. In my personal life, when my wife and I are not running around to soccer games and little league games, I'm also president of a nonprofit service organization that is called Monterey Dads Club. Monterey Dads Club is a group of about 70 or 80 dads that partners with our local elementary school because these dads want to be involved in their kids' education. So we'll do service projects around our school, whether that's rebuilding above ground garden beds for the garden program, new backpack hooks in the hallways, basically anything that is a need that's been identified by the school and the teachers and the students that the district might not be able to get to in a quick fashion, or we don't have funding for. So the Dads Club will raise the funding for it and also do the projects ourselves. So we love doing that. We love being involved in our schools and in our local community. And in fact, my wife and I moved here to participate in the great schools that we have in San Ramon Valley Unified. We did this when our oldest daughter was just a little girl before she started school. So I love that we have a history of having amazing schools in San Ramon Valley, but I also acknowledge that the future greatness of our schools is not a guarantee. And as a father and a parent, I am seeing some things like politics and divisiveness creeping their way onto campus. I am seeing ideologies overtaking education that is happening in the classroom. And I think it's really important that the school board seat is a nonpartisan seat. It's nonpartisan because I want to be able to hear from every voice in the community, the teachers, the students, the parents, and the unions, and anybody else who is concerned that wants to make their voice heard. And I want to do that on an equal playing field, which is why as a candidate from day one, I said I will not be accepting any endorsements or dollars from special interest groups or political parties or politicians. And I'm the only candidate who took that pledge and stuck to it. And it's not because I have anything against special interest groups or political parties. I think they're all well and good. But if I make a decision as a school board trustee member, I don't want the community to question whether I did that with any sort of undue influence from any sort of donations or sponsorships during my candidacy. Because I don't believe that we have Republican kids or Democrat kids or independent kids. We simply have kids who deserve the best darn education we can try to put together for them. And as a school board member, if elected, I will make sure that your voice is heard on the board. Thank you so much.
Great. Right on time, candidate Van Zee, and thank you to all 3 candidates. And I'd just like to reiterate for those of you who may have just joined us, that each candidate will be responding to specific questions that we have programmed for them. But should you have questions that you might like to ask the candidates, if you could please place those in the chat, and then I will try to select those that are most frequently asked and request that the candidates include their thoughts on your questions in their closing comments. All right. So moving to our second question now is, what do you see as the most important issue to address in the San Ramon Valley school system? Please cite what you believe it to be and what you would do to address it. And with this question, we'll lead off with candidate Peterson, please.
Okay, thank you. So if you are familiar with the psychology of learning, you know that Maslow's hierarchy of needs states that in order for a person to learn, they must first have their essential needs met. Among those essential needs are physical and mental health, a sense of safety, and feeling accepted by their community. Even before the pandemic, anxiety affected high-achieving, on-pace, and struggling students in rapidly rising and concerning rates. I know you are all concerned about academic
Does
excellence.
Michelle read everything?
You know what? That was incredibly rude. Can we start over? Or so I'm
Yeah,
going to just say that
actually-
I am an inputter and I learn from reading. I take copious notes from every person I've ever talked to in this candidacy, and that was incredibly rude.
Okay, yes, candidate Peterson, I agree with you. And should we have any additional interruptions like that, I will request that that person please be removed from this forum. This forum is an informational forum where all have equal say from the candidates' perspectives, and the rest of us who are audience members are to be respectful and polite. So thank you so much. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started again. And candidate Peterson, I forgot to mention that this particular question is 2 minutes. Okay. So
Do you want me to start off where I left off and just pick up the time from that, or?
you know, I'll go ahead and you can restart it. And if you want to alter any of your comments, please just go ahead so that we can be sure to have a respectful venue here.
Thank you. And I just want to reiterate that I read some things because I look at statistics and I don't have a photographic memory and I don't want to make mistakes. When I'm reading off statistics, then I can come back and be told that I was saying something that wasn't true. So I am very concerned about academic excellence, and I know that you all are too. But if our students don't feel secure, if they feel scared that a gunman is going to enter their classroom, or if they are being bullied because of their identity, their disability, their ethnicity, they will learn no matter how good the curriculum. They cannot learn, no matter how gifted the teacher or the strength of the focus of the subjects, they cannot learn. So, to me, the most important issue to address is the social emotional development and mental well-being of our students so they can learn and reach their full potential in the academics they are taught. I read in a scientific journal article that reported between 2016 and 2019, 5.8 million kids aged 3 to 17 years of age were diagnosed with anxiety and 2.7 million diagnosed with depression. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for our kids aged 15 to 24, and suicide rates between the ages of 10 to 12-year-olds have quadrupled in the last 20 years. This research shows this is not a COVID problem. This was flagged as a national crisis in 2018, although COVID certainly exacerbated the issue. We've known for a while that rates of anxiety and depression in our middle and high school kids have been rapidly rising, even before the pandemic. And now we are seeing rates of anxiety and distress as early as 2nd grade. So we need more counselors at all levels of education. And this is why I would prioritize lowering the student counselor ratio and hiring more counselors and maintaining funding for elementary school counselors that is currently afforded from one-time COVID dollars. The state has monies allocated for schools specifically for the mental health of our students.
Peterson,
There's flexibility in how we can spend it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, candidate Peterson. Okay, and so the next candidate to respond to this question on the important issues to address in the school system and what it is and how you would address it goes to candidate Van Zee, please.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I would also be in favor for if we release this as a live video afterwards, that maybe we can splice out that interruption that happened to Michelle. I think that would only be fair. I don't think that should be included as part of what we release to the public. So maybe between this recording and when we release it, we can cut that out so it just kind of flows seamlessly through. Just a suggestion. I'm sure Jerome would agree with that as well too.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, you bet. No, so okay, I'll get started on my question.
Yeah.
I alluded it to you before. I think that the reason why public schools exist is to educate our children with the knowledge and skills that are going to be needed for them to be successful in future school as well as future in life. I think that we have started to stray away a little bit from the purpose of educating our children in reading, writing, math, arithmetic, sciences, and the arts. And I want to see us return back to that focus, that narrow focus on these core academic subjects that are being taught in schools. And I would like to see it be done in a way that involves parents, involves the teachers, involves the students, and provides transparency to the whole community. As I alluded before, politics and ideology are creeping their way into the classroom. And whether you agree with those ideological subjects or not, we can agree that the kids have a finite amount of time in the class each and every day. So if we are teaching politics and ideology, we're doing that instead of math, instead of science, instead of reading and writing. We just did statewide testing for the district, and we usually do very well, and we did well again in comparison. But our performance at grade average or at grade level in mathematics fell by 5%. This is one of the largest drops that we've ever seen in our district. We also had a decrease in 3% of our students who are performing at grade level for language. I know that we just came through a pandemic, and I know some of it is due to that. But right now, more than any time before in our past, we need to focus on learning recovery to get these students caught back up. As a trustee on the Board of Education, I will make sure that we are navigating our budget dollars to the classroom, to the teachers and the students where they are needed to get them caught back up. And that's what I'll do as a trustee member. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Candidate Van Zee. And now moving to Candidate Pandell about the same question, most important issue for the school system, what it is and what you would do to address it.
Yes, thank you very much. And I agree that the academic focus and enrichment of our students, as well as their mental and emotional health, is of vital importance and a core tenet of what a district has to do to ensure the safety and well-being of our students and make sure that they feel welcome, included, respected in their classroom and on campus. But where that starts, where that most important first step is to ensure that our district continues to retain and recruit the best quality teachers in our classrooms. And the best way to do that is often talk about that our district is a destination district for families. We also have to make it a destination district for teachers. And one of the things I'm very proud of is the fact that I've gotten the support of our teachers in the classroom. And the reason why, I don't consider our teachers a special interest group. I consider them the people on the ground who see our kids besides their parents every day, and giving them the resources they need to identify those social and emotional needs that our kids have, to also identify how they can improve our test scores. One of the things I know Jesse pointed out, the overall district drop in test scores. Some small school sites saw increases in their test scores year over year. So let's look at what teachers are doing at those campuses and spread that knowledge and information around. And the way to do that is by sitting down with our teacher representatives, leaders, and talking to them about what works best in their classrooms. The other thing I'm going to say about this is that ensuring this is not something that we take lightly. We have to do it with the support of our community. And one of the things that's going to face the upcoming school board is the renewal of our parcel tax, which our community generously reenacted about 10 years ago in 2015. I was proud to be part of that winning campaign, got almost 75% of the vote. There's great work to be done to continue to bring that support into our classroom. And that goes directly, those dollars go directly into the classroom and ensure that our students and teachers have the resources they need. So that is something that this board is going to have to focus on as one member out of 5, but ensuring that our community still understands the need and reason for that support.
Thank you so much, Candidate Pandell. Okay, let me just see. Whoops, we still have some folks coming in here. All righty, moving on to the next question, which is also a 2-minute question, is why do you believe you are uniquely qualified to be on the San Ramon Valley School Board? And for this one, we'd like to start off with Candidate Van Zee, please.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. First and foremost, I'm a parent. I've got 5 kids. If I'm elected during my first term, I will have a kid in high school, kids in middle school, and kids in elementary school all at the same time. So I'll have my toes in the water around there. So good decisions and bad decisions by the board will affect me personally. And so I will have a vested interest in order to chart the ship forward for my interest as well as for the interest of the community. And while I think it's really important that we have parent representatives that serve on the Board of Education, one of the biggest aspects of the Board of Education as a trustee on there is fiscal management and oversight. We have a $453 million budget this year. That's a lot of dollars that are to be directed towards teachers and staffing and curriculum and everything and facilities that are needed. As a business executive in healthcare space, I have vast knowledge of dealing with multi-million-dollar budgets on an everyday basis. I look at them from a macro level, from a micro level. I'm able to pull out granular details and evaluate our dollars and where they're being spent and see if they are making the impact that we want them to have. That is the same thing. I will take that experience that I have in the private sector and apply it as a trustee on the Board of Education for our public school system. And I will work with my fellow board members and with the district to make sure that we are focusing our dollars to teachers who teach in the classroom. We need to make sure that the resources get in their hand, the good pay, the good pensions, the good benefits, to incentivize new teachers, like Jerome was saying, incentivize new teachers to come to our school district. We are having hiring consequences right now with that. We are also getting ready to face a recession. We're going to need somebody who is able to navigate through that has good business acumen and is able to make sure that we're staying focused on where those dollars are being spent. And that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Candidate Van Zee. All right, moving to Candidate Pandell on this question on why do you believe you are uniquely qualified to be on the San Ramon Valley School Board. Go ahead, 2 minutes.
So I would summarize it with experience and perspective. One of the questions in the chat that I happened to see was someone pointed out that we're losing board member Ken Mintz, who has long institutional experience and knowledge dating back to 1992. Well, as someone who was a student in this district, I remember what things were like in 1992 when we did have politicians, some of whom support Mr. Van Zee, saying we shouldn't pass parcel taxes and we shouldn't give more money to our local schools. And that is not something we want to return to. What I believe, and the reason why I think Ken Mintz supported me, is because of that experience and perspective that I bring to the table with this position. That comes as both a 3-year chair of our Facilities Oversight and Advisory Committee, and also because of the fact that as a longtime volunteer for the district and parent, I bring that long-term perspective that a board member needs. When you're on the Facilities Oversight and Advisory Committee, you're looking at a multi-million-dollar budget and allocating different project buckets to ensure that each campus receives the dollars that are fair to it, given what its needs are in terms of student body and teaching, but also to ensure that each member of the community who attends that school, where the school is really the front porch of each part of our community, is one that gets what's fair under the bond dollars that were promised to voters. That is the type of thing that I bring to this table. The other thing I'll add is, outside of being in this campaign, is I'm an attorney by day. A lot of people think attorneys argue all the time. The number one thing we do in our job is actually find compromise with our opposing counsel and with opposing parties. And that's one of the things that I bring to the table in terms of experience. Lastly, my final perspective is I've always given back to the schools that made me who I am today. I was on the alumni board for Hastings College of the Law, where I went to law school, another proud public university, jewel of our system in the state. And I believe our giving back to our schools, the schools that made us who I am, is one of the highest callings and something I look forward to doing.
Thank you so much, Candidate Pandell. And now moving to Candidate Peterson for why do you believe you are uniquely qualified to be on the San Ramon Valley School Board?
I believe I'm uniquely qualified because I've already been doing the work. I've served as PTA president for the last 3 years. I've worked with the school district to improve our school safety plan and strengthen our communications around gun violence and gun safety. I've been doing the work. I'm endorsed by former board members because they trust me to be able to lead I did not seek their endorsements, but they were offered to me willingly. Their endorsements are based on the expectation that I will not run the district, but rather share responsibility for student welfare and success within district management, educators, financial, and support staff. It is the board's role to oversee the district in a financially responsible manner, to respect all employees, to ensure curriculum decisions are focused on teaching students to become successful, productive community members, irrespective of race, religion, or political philosophy, and that every student attends in a caring and safe environment. I will be a strong supporter of all students who attend district schools and the employees and parents that support them. Going back to my training as a firefighter again, I know how to stay cool under pressure, lead and work on a team, and respond with reason and civility. All trustees need to be able to do this in order to work with the school district staff and parents that need us. I also want to say that as a young adult, I worked as a corporate event planner and I managed multi-million-dollar budgets. I juggled multiple timelines, vendors, logistical and human resource aspects of the job. To be successful, I needed to have command of the communication processes, systems, and flows. I would have various consumer groups as in business, but in public education, they're called our stakeholders. And I will apply the same tactics that I used as a corporate event manager and as working as a firefighter to be able to bring our community together, lift us up, and move forward into a new era where our district continues to be the destination district that it is.
Great, thank you so much. I'm having a phone malfunction here. As I'm also trying to remove some of the individuals who are being rude. And so excuse me as I'm fighting with my multiple technologies.
I was like, dinner's done.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you, Candidate Peterson. And now moving to our next question is that, and for this question, Candidate Pandell will kick us off. The question is, school board meetings often have a lot of community participation. What would you do to make sure that all or many audience participants are able to be heard within an organized process? This 2 minutes for this question. Candidate Pandell, please.
So some people have mentioned that I ran for school board in the at-large position 8 years ago. And one of the things I called for then was that we provide a video recording or broadcasting of our school board meetings and make that archive available online. I'm happy to say, even though I did not win that race, that that's actually been done. However, there's something we learned from the pandemic with regards to Zoom and the ability to do remote participation in meetings. And that is that we can, following the lead of neighboring school districts and cities, have remote public comment for public participation. And that is something I would work with to convince 2 other board members that this is a good idea, something that I think we should make available to the public for our school board meetings. Our school district geographically is quite large, spanning all the way from South Walnut Creek to here in Alamo, all the way to East and Southern San Ramon, and even includes a tiny little sliver of Livermore in it. Expecting parents to drive to the district office in traffic can be really difficult. Providing a way for them to provide a comment on a pressing issue remotely is something that I think would encourage participation and allow for orderly participation in our meetings and help provide a different perspective. So that is one of the things I would like to do. Additionally, if elected, I plan to hold office hours modeled very similarly to the ones that Trustee Shelley Clark has held, both online and in person. If you want, for example, this Friday, I will be at Hazy Barbecue at 4:30 p.m. This class of 2001 from San Ramon Valley High School reunion starts at 6 p.m., but I'll be around to answer questions if you'd like. Come and say hi to me and enjoy some barbecue written by a great given by an SRVUSD alum. So I believe in openness, transparency, and communication. I've talked to a ton of supporters of both Jesse and Michelle, both on knocking on doors and at various events and forums. The reality is I believe in an open door policy and communication, and that's what you should hold as your ethos as a board member.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Candidate Pandell. And now moving to Candidate Peterson on this question.
So through my time as a parent, I have seen an increase in parent and student surveys and the opportunity to give back through outlets like the Thought Exchange, conversations with Dr. Malloy that encourage many to participate. I would encourage Dr. Malloy to continue these conversations, casual conversations with district parents that are open to all and encourage face-to-face interaction. I think the move to broadcast and stream the school board meetings was a big improvement for transparent communication, as was the release of minutes in a timely manner. As a Board of Education trustee, and indeed during my candidacy, I am open to other ideas that the Board of Education can do to increase transparency. I do believe that we need to prioritize outgoing communications, and we need to expand and improve upon our incoming communications. I understand that people want their voices heard. I get that. And I do not feel as though, and you do not feel as though they were heard before. As a BOE trustee, I will hold quarterly town halls to get feedback from our constituents and hold regular office hours. If I am lucky enough to be elected, I will do what I'm doing now on this campaign, but I will do it as a Board of Education trustee. And that is, I will hold regular listening tours, going to every school in the district, meeting with the staff, meeting with the students, meeting with the parents, listening, getting the feedback, planning meetings with different schools, different staff, different groups, student clubs, parent clubs, where I want to hear the feedback and know how I can improve as a trustee. And I will say this again, I am the only person running on this panel that does not have a full-time job other than being a mom, which, as we know, anyone who's home, staying home, being a full-time mom is an incredibly hard job. But I can give this position the time, dedication, and direction it deserves.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Candidate Peterson. And we're now coming up on the closing remarks.
Do I get to chime in on that one?
Oh my goodness, Candidate Van Zee, I am so sorry. Like I said, I am multitasking here because people are misbehaving in the chat. So
You're doing amazing.
Behave.
You're doing fine.
But thank you so much for sticking up where you need to stick up. Okay. Yes, Candidate Van Zee, thank you so much. Would you please?
No worries at all. Yeah, so I think that, you know, one of the most important aspects of a public board is that you keep it public, and as much as you can possibly keep it public, that's going to encourage involvement and transparency in the community. It's going to build goodwill, and folks are going to know that their voice is being heard. One of the things that I would like to see, or at least kind of ask the rationale behind it, is we've recently moved from 2 school board meetings per month down to 1. I think we're dealing with just the same amount of agendized items, but now we have half the amount of time for public comment. And it makes it a little bit difficult for people to be able to have access. For example, we have a school board meeting tonight, so anybody who's here is not there. You know, this gives limited access and resource to folks in the community that want to make sure their voice is heard. So even if we don't go back to 2 school board meetings per month, I would also maybe like to add in something like a public workshop where all the all the board could sit there and hear from the community directly, whether that's through Zoom or in person or however we can do it, so that we can hear feedback directly from the community, even as a board, collectively as a board, so that we can workshop these ideas through. I would also like to see, as we agendize items, we know when we have the lineup for our agendized meetings, which ones are going to draw the greater public interest. I would like to see those items agendized earlier on in the conversation, because sometimes they go on at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, and parents have been waiting there. They got to go. They can't stay logged on, even if they're watching on video, and yet they want to be informed. So I would ask the board to move those topics that are going to garner more interest up front in the discussion, so that we can get done with those and then clear out the other ones that everybody's going to agree with after the fact. I'll also do office hours. I plan on visiting school sites, elementary, middle, and high school as a rotation, and I'll make myself available like I have as a candidate in the field.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. Okay. Okay, well, we're coming up on the final closing remarks, and I have been scanning the questions, and there are two questions that seem to pop up the most. If each one of you could please address them. And they are the topics that have been touched upon briefly, and folks are asking for just a little bit more detail. One is around the teaching of science, American history, and particular issues such as slavery and racism, as well as gun safety. Are these political or partisan issues, and how should they be addressed within the school? And then the other question is, sorry, how would you work with all members of the education community to continue a culture of collaboration in the district to ensure student success? So for this question, and whatever other closing remarks you might have in 2 minutes, we are starting actually with candidate Peterson.
So just to be clear, you want us to answer the questions and then do our closing statements?
No, if you could just kind of include that within your closing statement, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Well, ethnic studies is going to become a requirement of our high schools to take, our high school students to take, starting in 2026, they'll need to take one class. And then starting in 29-30, they'll need to have had a credit in ethnic studies to graduate. And I support this. It's set by the California Department of Education. It teaches history through the lens of the people who are affected. And I 100% back that. This isn't critical race theory. This is ethnic studies. If our children want to succeed in our world, they need to be able to go out in the world and work with a diverse group of people, period. The second question was, I'm sorry.
The second question was around how do we continue to motivate collaboration for all in the education community for the success
with our
of
students.
Children.
So I'll tell you that as a candidate, my most favorite part of this job or this work is meeting students. I've had incredible students with our conversations with our students, both at Monte Vista High School, San Ramon Valley High School, and they give me an incredibly newfound hope for the future. So I will continue that as a Board of Education member, and it's not anything different than I'm doing right now. I want to just say that I asked for this meeting to start at 6 o'clock tonight because I'm going to the Board of Education meeting from this. And I also want to say that there are board workshops already. There was just one on Friday. Unfortunately, I was in the ER, so I couldn't go, but I would have been there. Education affects all of us, and as a parent leader who has demonstrated the ability to work with other parents and staff, I will be a voice who will listen through the distractions and respond with reason and civility like I did tonight. Our children are under unprecedented stress and anxiety, and seeing the adults in their lives handle community issues collaboratively helps to provide them with a sense of security. This kind of parent presence is needed now more than ever on the Board of Education.
Thank you, candidate Peterson. Very appreciative of your final comments. And with that, we'll move to candidate Van Zee. And candidate Van Zee, I don't know if the two questions that were asked were around teaching history and including subject matters such as slavery, gun safety, and then the other one was the question around collaboration in the education community. Okay.
I got you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to be, when I say focusing on core education and core academics, that's absolutely what I mean. We need to be teaching our complete history. The United States of America is definitely a shining city on a hill, but we also have our blemishes. And I think part of what makes us a great nation is we can talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly that we've had as a nation. I think all of that needs to be included. Kids need to know what we've had in racism from our past, what we've had through slavery, what we've had through Jim Crow law, and separate but equal. We need to know these things so that we can move on as a culture into a better and brighter future. That being said, there are elements that do want critical race theory being taught in our schools. However, you will not see it being called critical race theory as you're going through the curriculum. Parents need to have a keen eye, and they need to be aware that there is pressure from outside groups to put in ideas of critical race theory and have them taught in the classroom to your students. And the elements that you need to know about critical race theory are the seeking out to divide kids up into separate groups based on things that they can't control. They can't control their skin color. And to teach a kid that they're either an oppressor because of things that people that looked like them did in the past, or that they're oppressed and they're permanently in a prison ideologically because of what their skin color looks like. I think this is cruel to teach to children, and parents need to stand as a vanguard against these things being taught in our schools. We need to make sure that we're focused on real history, good academics, so that we can encourage our kids and nurture them to love one another, respect each other, and move to a brighter, more unified future. As a board member, I will be seeking unification. I will be seeking love and hope and transparency, and working with every stakeholder. That's your last question, is working with every stakeholder, teachers, parents, unions, everybody. We all have to come together to succeed together. Thank you.
Oh, Doreen, you're muted. Sorry.
All right, thank you everyone for keeping me on my game. Yes, candidate Pandell, if you might like to go ahead and do your closing statements with the 2 questions. Should I repeat them for you?
I think I got them.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So first, thank you all again for the great moderating and the opportunity to be here. With regards to the first question regarding curriculum, one of the things I think that's great about our district is there already is opportunities for public and parent caregiver input, along with our teachers and our curriculum coordinators at the district office, into what's taught in our classrooms. But one of the things we have to do as a community and make sure that our teachers have the resources to do is meet kids where they are. So we teach to the state standards that our state of California Department of Education puts on our schools, and we give teachers the resources to ensure that students have the ability to freely inquiry into topics that interest them and that light the fire of educational knowledge and interest. So I don't come into this position with any preconceived notions of what should be taught or should not be taught. The role of a school board member is to review proposed curriculum changes and determine whether they meet the goals of the local education agency that we govern, which is ensuring that our students meet those state standards and are successful. So in that way, teaching about the breadth of American history, race, LGBTQ contributions to history, science, literature, that's all part of this process and all something that we should let our teaching professionals ensure that they have the room to do so in line with state standards. One of the things that we talk about a lot with Superintendent Malloy in our meetings with him, and that we hear a lot about on campus, is shared governance. And one of the things I really want to return to as a board is something where our district office and our Board of Education serves each school and campus and not the other way around. What that means is that the best solution to an issue that comes up at a school or in your classroom is for that solution to be resolved at the school level. And I think that's the reason why I have the support of former trustees like Joan Buchanan that I do, as well as others in our community. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, candidate Pandell. And thank you to all of our candidates for taking the time to spend with us this evening to further educate us on precisely why they're running for school board and what they see as the issues and what they would do. And, I would just like to, first of all, apologize to the audience for a moment for some of the activities that we had going on here. And secondly, to mention there are too many questions for us to cover within the time period that we have. But as an additional service, and Roger, I'm going out on a limb here on behalf of AIA, I would be willing to put together these questions and share them with the candidates to be able to provide written answers that we would then post on our website together with this recording. So if that's all right with the candidates, I'm very happy to do that for our audience. Did we get a thumbs up from, okay, we got a thumbs up from Jerome.
Okay,
Michelle, and we got Van Z.
all right. And you got my thumbs up too, okay? So
All
we're good.
right, great. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone has been very, very participative. Thank you so much. So just on behalf of the Alamo Improvement Association, we'd really like to thank all of you candidates and truly wish you all the best of luck. And to our audience, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your participation. And we hope you found this helpful. We'll have this recording up on the AIA website, which is alamoca.org. I did put it in the chat a few moments ago, within the next couple of days. And please remember to vote on November the 8th. All right. Good night to all.
Yeah.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You.